I wanted to show you the production, or talk to you about the production of magazine covers. Now, the magazine has a format that's vertical. Magazines will vary in size a little bit, but they're pretty close to each other for postal rate consideration. I've got 4 magazines that I want you to look at: Better Homes and Gardens, Road and Track, Sunset, and Time magazine. The masthead of the magazine is what I've got up here now. This masthead is set by their choice of what the logo lettering is going to look like, and it's the same on every magazine. Some magazines will change the color. Some will be very traditional, same all the time. Others will vary a little bit on just the color or the edging. Sports Illustrated has a lot of it's the same font, the same shape, but it might be red or blue or chrome or wood or half covered by the head of an athlete or something. But Better Homes and Gardens, now here's an example of Better Homes and Gardens with the masthead across the top so that you can see it as it sits in the newsstand. And then they have an area where there's a sort of a small table of content. Here's the lead article, and then there's 3 or 4 secondary articles that are important. And the image that is there is this image, originally taken of a wide family room with a fireplace and an angle and tables and chairs and that sort of thing. Once it's put in play, it's cropped so that we lose the fireplace and have just this cabinet and window. And then somebody in the editorial department comes up with the headlines and subheadlines that you're going to put in there. Plan on using colors that are in the picture, like this red is something coming out of the red of this lamp, and the yellows are something coming out of the yellows of the lamp. They have to contrast. They have to be able to be seen. But this is typical for a magazine cover where they have this masthead. Someplace there's also a date line. I haven't put that in there, but there's usually a date if it's a weekly or a monthly magazine. And then there's some indexing going on. And this is a good picture for that too, because there's nothing going on down here other than this flooring that's important that this letters couldn't be laid over. Another Better Homes and Gardens is an exterior shot where they have got the picture of this old English castle with a reflection, a couple of swans swimming in the lake. And of course we've changed the Better Homes and Garden color and picked the color here with the color picker. You can do that. See, I pick that green and it shows up over here. Then I can put that in the lettering. Once I've established the lettering and laid it in there, then I can make the colors happen. And I can change the colors by selecting I'm on that layer of Better Homes and Gardens, and I select the B with my magic wand, and then in select I can just say give me everything that's similar. And see, it's all selected, and I can change its colors. Find the color here, then hit the option delete, the foreground color goes in. But I don't need to do that because it's already done. So there's an example of an outdoor image that would go on the cover. And Better Homes and Gardens will cover homes or travel to homes in other parts of the world. Down here, I haven't put it in there, but there's room here for some additional lettering that would be in the sky part here, not really messing up the whole reflection because the castle is up here being seen anyway. The next magazine is Road and Track with the ampersand with a little red ball there. Now that red ball is separate, so be careful you don't lose that when you put this in here. But Road and Track in big heavy letters with a big thick serif, and then the ampersand is something that they have had for a long time, and they change that every so often just to update the magazine a little bit or bring a little change. Here's the Road and Track with a little tongue-in-cheek with the train on the track coming through. Now, I might tell you that every April, the April edition of Road and Track, they do a little bit of having fun for April Fools, and instead of finding a sports car to evaluate and do a report on, they may do the Goodyear blimp or a 18-wheel diesel truck, or in this case, it might even be the old steam engine. But letters, it's in white, and you notice there's a bit of a drop shadow on that letter. See, without the drop shadow, the white lettering gets lost in the smoke and sky. But with a little drop shadow, it edges that white and it separates it out. Another road and track cover, a little more typical, is the car, and then other elements provided. Now, don't forget the red ball is supposed to be there, and the road and track in this case is made to look like a bit of chrome. And there's another road and track, the white letters, but you can see without the shadowing going on or without some beveling, it's hard to see in those clouds. The background, let's take out everything that's... Now the car had its picture taken on wet pavement. They get a hose and wet the pavement down, and then there was a sort of an industrial building behind it. I've cut the building out and come over the top of the car, and then I looked at what background could I use. I tried this one with the Santa Barbara Mission. It's a pretty building and all. I don't know if it really lends itself to sports cars, but it could be a destination to drive to. But I found a morning sunrise shot that I liked a lot better, where the sun is coming up and these trees are silhouetted, and that black comes right down, black unseen grass or whatever it is, comes right down to the edge of the picture where I've cut it to, and then you have this glow coming up. Now, it doesn't necessarily match the reflection in the car, and I may have to go back into the car and have this blue and gray just sort of melt into each other in that line without that white or pinkish. It's probably the reflection of a building on the other side of this big cement plaza. But still, that's a way to put this together to make it a little more appealing to automotive enthusiasts that look at this magazine. Here's another tongue-in-cheek about road and track, a Farmall tractor with a little teddy bear sitting in the seat, and then an old dollar coin behind it. There's some story in there somewhere, I'm sure. But the shadow is there, and it's transparent. It's got a bit of a transparency so that it will, it's about 57% opacity, and everything else is in place, including the red ball. It has a red, well, white red to dark red, so it looks three-dimensional. So that's another version of a road and track that would get somebody's attention, and if it was the April edition of the magazine and they were featuring a Farmall tractor, there we go. Sunset Magazine, the blank, this is their masthead that they currently use, and they have a sub-headline, the Magazine of Western Living. They cover not only household products and cooking and fabrics and crafts, but even travel and events that are going on. So here is a Sunset sample with a red door. You've seen this before. That was the one we worked on a while back. And that red door is just fine for this cover. There's a Irish bagpiper. He wasn't there, but we cut him out and put him standing on the steps. And this could be a feature about travel to Europe or some Irish or Scottish fair going on someplace in the West. So that becomes a magazine. Now, of course, the sunset lettering is made the color of the door, and they do that often with their they'll change the coloring to match whatever their picture is going to be. Here's another picture of sunset featuring cooking outdoors with a Dutch oven. And the sunset here, yellow to be contrasting against, and there's some yellow back in here. And then the red is the red, dark red of the jacket that's showing there. So let's see, then there's the Time blank. It's an orange border with a black inside line, and then the Time magazine. Now Time can be white or black or red, and they don't change much after that because it's so traditional. Here would be a magazine with a full cover, a photograph and of a tornado, and are we in trouble, and that would be their feature story. and it's dramatic photograph, and you see that coming, and uh-oh, what is it that's about to hit us? Here's another one with a C-17 jet transport taking off, and it may be a story about, are we spending enough on defense? Take off for defense. And the color of the lettering is the same gray as right here on the aircraft. Now the sky and was a little fakey, so I made a new sky. The sky, I actually just cut it out, and this gray or background here, this is real dirt, and this is just color of the dirt put in there to finish off. Of course, take off for defense is there, but by adding a sky, the light to darker, it gives it finishes the photograph in a good manner. Here are some samples of potential magazine covers that have a lot of things going in here that's kind of interesting. If I turn some of these things off, you can see how this was really manufactured. I started with that was the original picture of the ship, of the sailing boat and its cloud and stuff, and I cut that out, and here's the ship now, and I left some water in it, but I cut out everything here, but I didn't, I left the rigging and all this little business in here. That takes a while to cut that out. And then I put into it a sky, and that's okay for a sky, except it's a little boring, so I found some clouds and put the clouds in. Now you can see the clouds are sort of molded, or the eraser tool helps erase it sort of into a not a hard edge, but a very soft edge, and then that's now in front of the sky, the gray sky that I put in, and it goes up into the clouds. Then, just for fun, I added this big transformer character and put a little outer glow around him, like he's standing out in the ocean, and that's what the ship is sailing away from. And then I put in the lettering, tack left. I mean, the ship is about to turn or tack to the left, so they get away from this big character. And the lettering has a little bit of drop shadow and beveling to it so that it stands out again away from the background. Another example to look at is this is a cover for a magazine or a book on the work people do. And you can see that I've added a lot of elements here. Let's turn them off and start from the bottom. The author's name, let's see, it's Ralph there. Okay, let's start from the bottom and go up. Here's a section of rocks to take a picture and crop it into a rectangle, and I put a bit of a shadow to it. Then I got a shovel and put the shovel here, and a hammer, ball peen hammer, and a power drill with its cord. Each one is there cut out, and added to it is a little bit of a outer glow. I put this truck in here. Now that truck was interesting to cut out because there's a lot of detail over here that you have to cut to get that to run out. And I fixed the front tire so that it was in better condition. And here, and a bit of a glow around that too, just or a drop shadow, just to help it set off and things. Then I put the name of the author across the bottom. Now that's orange lettering, and it has a blue edge on it and some shadowing to it. Then I put the word work, which is a big heavy white word, just plain, no shadow on it, and then what people do with a bit of shadow to push off from the white work. So it's entitled Work That Work People Do, and it's just showing tools and this big dirt hauler, and it all adds up then to the cover of a magazine or a book, but it's still a composite, a montage put together and balanced. Last thing I want to show you in this group is this is a picture of an Irish farm and a bottle that's been worked over, and I put the title in here, Official Pacific Ocean Water, and I've bent it a little bit so it fits the bottle. Here's that transformer monster again that's behind, and he's reaching his arm around it. Kind of worked out well. This is like an ad campaign poster. It's everywhere. This, whatever I'm selling this bottle, is everywhere. It's in Ireland, and it's got this guy hanging around. Bit of fun with that, but there you go. So what I want you to do with this is to take those 4 blanks for Better Homes and Gardens and for Time and for Road and Track and for Sunset, and find your own picture, appropriate picture, and put them in under the masthead and change the color if you need to. The masthead always has to be at the top. But once you found appropriate pictures and brought them in, then you might try on some of them, maybe not all of them, but put a secondary or a feature article name on it, and maybe one or two or three secondary names down below. I was using a very simple typeface, Impact, in all caps, so that it's easily seen and important, but doesn't take up anything that's important in the photograph. So you produce those 4 mastheads, those 4 magazines with their mastheads on them, and that becomes the project then for making production of magazine covers.